I often talk, as those of you familiar with my work know, about discovering what I call the common denominator of experience as a way of coming to know this that is singular, this because we're so accustomed to seeing everything as different and distinct and also separate as part of that difference and distinction. And so again, I'm often directing people back to discover different doorways into what is fundamentally the same about everything. We can't ultimately say what that is, and that's what I'd kind of like to explore this morning with you. One thing that is emphasized a lot in different teachings as this sort of common denominator is goes by different names, awareness being one of them. We could just call it what's perceiving, the knowing of this moment. So I just invite you to feel that very obvious sense of knowing, not what you're knowing in the form of knowledge, but just the faculty of knowing, the faculty of perceiving itself. So just feel that. The moment's being perceived, right? We're just feeling whatever that word seems to be pointing to, perceiving, knowing, they're synonymous. Just feeling that. Doesn't matter whether your eyes are open or closed. Feeling this knowing, the knowing of this moment, the knowing of reality, the reality of what's here, what's showing up, feeling that knowing. It's here, isn't it? Just effortlessly, the knowing of what is. We could say that what is, what's appearing, what seems to be happening is, of course, impossible to hold on to, right? Always slipping away, always disappearing, right? Just gone. And we wonder why we have this experience of like, I can't hold on to this. It just seems like I keep losing track of it somehow. I feel like I get this kind of understanding and then it slips away, But of course, that's natural for everything to slip away, right? All of our experiences is just slipping away. They're just feeling the reality of that, the impossibility of holding on to the moment. And meanwhile, though there is this sense of this kind of simultaneously a kind of a constancy of, we could call it the constancy of the moment itself, even though paradoxically it keeps vanishing. And feel that. We are feeling this paradox, aren't we? It's quite something. Always slipping away, ungraspable, right? Try to grasp hold of the moment, it's gone. And yet there's this sense of something's always here. Something's always here. And yet you can't hold on to it. And yet it's always here. I mean, that makes no logical sense, but that's what we're experiencing. We're just feeling that. This bright knowing, pervading everything. The knowing of all these different flavors. Impossible to tease apart the knowing from whatever it is it seems to be known, right? You can't disentangle those things. They arise together. The knowing and the known, the perceiving and the perceived. They're a singularity, aren't they? One always comes with the other. The knowing always comes with something being known. And that something being known always comes with the knowing of it, right? They're one thing. The perceiving and the perceived, the knowing and the known, the seeing and the seen, feeling the undivided nature of the perceiving and the perceived. We can talk about them as if they're different, but at the same time, you can't pull them apart. Feel that. And as you feel this knowing that's just here effortlessly, this bright knowing, this bright wakefulness, the light of knowing. Pervading everything, shining within and as everything. Feeling that, and then I invite you into a question to explore by feeling your way into the answer, rather than thinking your way into the answer, feeling your way into the question of, what is this knowing? What is this that's perceiving this moment? Just feeling that knowing, that which you call knowing. Can you actually say what it is? Can you actually come to a final conclusion about what this knowing is? Do you find the knowing as something like, oh, there it is. It looks like this. This is its identity. This is its definition. Can you determine that as you feel this knowing? It's here. We could say it appears as a quality of life, the quality of knowing that seems very fundamental to everything. But notice how it's just this subtle dance of something we can't say what it is, right? You can't say what this knowing is. What is this? It's really the same question as what is life? If someone were to ask us, are you do you exist? Is existence here? Is life here? Is something here? It's all the same question in a sense. We would answer, yes, of course. This is here, this that we call life, this aliveness somehow is here, isn't it? And again, the knowing is inseparable from the being. The knowing is inseparable from life. They're just different facets, we could say, descriptors of the same indescribability, the same jewel of indescribability. The jewel of mystery. The mystery of everything, a mystery of what is most basic about everything is its aliveness, its presence, its here-ness, the knowing of it. And yet we can't say what that is. It's pure mystery, isn't it? All the way down to the bottomless fathomless depths of it. We are that. We're not just observing it, we are that. Everything is that. Pure mystery. And different teachings often talk about, going into the silence. Right? I was never quite sure what that meant, but it often got framed as, the silence that occurs when we quiet the mind or something. So then we try to quiet the mind through meditation or some such thing. But what I would say is that this mystery of the unknowability of this that's here, this knowing, this being, this life, intrinsic to it is the unknown. It is unknowable in the sense of being able to say what it is, think what it is, conceive of what it is. It transcends all of our efforts to pin it down, put it into a box of understanding. And in that sense, it's absolute silence, the silence of not knowing, the silence of no definition, no description, no frame of reference. And along with no frame of reference and no definition is pure freedom. Freedom from all descriptions and their implied limitations. Freedom from all frames of reference. Silent in the sense of you feel the presence of this, which is all we're ever feeling, actually. And no matter how many layers of conceiving are placed on top of what's here to try to get a handle on it, this doesn't have a handle. It has no story will contain it, right? Or capture it. And in that sense, it's utter silence. No story whatsoever, no definition, no description. Right? In this sense, all of my words are like tossing feathers into a hurricane or something. They just absolutely will not touch this. The words cannot touch this. And yet all the words are this at the same time. None of our thoughts can grasp it, capture it, and yet all of the thoughts are it. All of our knowledge can't hold it, and yet all of our knowledge is it. So how paradoxical could it be? This infinity, this boundless, fathomless, ungraspable, unresolvable infinity that I'm pointing to, the endlessness of this, endless in the sense of we never arrive at the final conclusion of what it is. This infinity that is every moment is a doorway into this infinity. Every experience is a doorway into this infinity, which is why it doesn't matter what we're experiencing. It's the same doorway. This infinity dances as and shows up as, manifests as, if you will, what we might call the finite and definable. And right, I could define this moment as having a conversation with all of you, exploring something with all of you. But the description which suggests something definable and finite, those words are very related, to finite and the definable. Like here it is. I've just put the parameters, set the boundaries of what the limits of what this is, this moment. It's a conversation that we're having. It leaves out the detail. We're always leaving out the infinity of details, right? In order to put it into some sort of finite form and definition. I just feel the infinity of this moment. Infinite in quantity. How many little flickers and rumblings and movements and flavors and qualities and sensations and thoughts and energetic sparks and sparkles and sounds, and within all of those infinite details, each one of those is itself an infinity. I mean, how can we tell a story? How can we say what this moment is when it's so infinite?